Let's see who the people are here.
Good morning, folks.
Morning.
I've got 9:01 and I'm going to call, we've got a rather busy agenda and several guests here. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 9:01. All members of the board are present. Are there any members of the public here to be heard? Other than if you have an agenda item. No one from the public to be heard. We will move on. First Selectmen's briefing. I will pass on that for now. I think most of what I would be discussing is also on the agenda. Item 5, acceptance of the minutes of the special meeting of 7/17, both the regular and the special. We ran into some technical problems here this week, and you have not got them yet, as I understand it. So I would ask that we carry that for our next agenda and take no action on it. Hear from boards, commissions, and committees. Hear from boards, commissions, and committees. Hearing none, we'll move on. Status of the after-school program. We had our third 11:45 meeting yesterday with the Board of Selectmen, and Cindy was in attendance with us, as well as Sherry and of course Catherine and I. And we just discussed process, where we are. The school is received, I believe, Catherine, she said 2 applications to date.
Yes.
And those would be considered. One of the things that we did discuss was trying to expedite the interview process. For that. Incidentally, Catherine, I did speak with town council, and you and I can serve together on an interview committee without it being necessitated as a special town meeting.
Right, we've done that before. Yeah.
And there was some question because there's other boards in that are going to participate. Duncan was going to verify that off the top of his head. He didn't see an issue. I have not heard back from him, but I assume there's no issue with that. And we'll proceed. Other than that, everything seems to be falling in line. I know Cindy has been doing a lot of work on it, and I think we're doing our best to live up to our time schedule. We're looking at an initiation of the program of September 5th, which is a Monday. All right, item B, consider funding options relating to the initiation of the Ashford School Roof Program. It's still premature for us to do that. We'll just continue to carry that as that materializes. I know that Chris has been working diligently with Jim Rupert and Mark Chapman and the attorneys for our town council on finalizing the RFQ and the forms that go with that. And I think, is that ready to go, Chris? Do you anticipate today or tomorrow?
If I get it in time, it'll probably go up on the website, the DAS website tonight. Otherwise tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Item C is Ashford Citizen Review Draft of Establishment of Policies and Procedures. Did you have a chance, Catherine, to work on that, or?
I wasn't able to finish it yet, but I will send it out to the selectmen later on this week. And for everybody to look through. What the plan that I've got is to put what we can in the citizen in the little box that's on page 2, and then have a reference to the rest of the material out on the town's website. And also to have it, and also I think we should print it and put it on the town's bulletin board. So it's accessible for people who don't use a computer.
I think that's a good suggestion. A couple of things. I have had some discussions with Colleen DePercio, our editor.
Yeah.
I would like our next meeting to discuss a reinstatement of the stipend that we had discussed. I have asked her to track her hours.
Yep.
and they're considerably more than she was anticipating. So
I figured they would be. That's why I
Yeah.
suggested up front. Okay.
So we'll carry that in our next meeting and hopefully take action. I told her I was going to bring that up. The other thing is for our consideration, she thinks, I know people are used to the 20th of the month deadline.
Yeah.
That's particularly burdensome, and she'd like to move that up for us to consider. We don't have to make a decision today on it, but I wanted you and Roger to know about it. She suggested the 15th or the 16th as a
I
deadline.
agree. I agree. I know what a mad dash it is. Working from the 20th to basically the 23rd or 24th to
Yeah,
get everything in order.
she was up till on the 20th and the 21st. She was up till after 3 o'clock in the morning finalizing.
Yeah,
And
that's horrible. We don't want that.
no, we don't need the stress of that. So anyway, just, and we all said as we initiated the new process here, new policies and procedures, that we be looking at these things, and I appreciate her coming forward with it. So those are just a couple of items that I'd like to resolve when we discuss it, as this is our next meeting. She would have joined us, but she's out of state on vacation right now. So.
Would you have any problem with me, once I finish, doing our revised, draft, if you will? Would you mind if I reviewed that with Colleen, just to see if there's anything in there that she feels was missing?
Not at
Or
all.
should,
Not
Yeah.
not at all.
thank you. I'd like to do that.
No, I think the more we give people an opportunity to get their input, the sooner we can get this wrapped up. And I think that's a good idea.
Particularly the person who's doing the job.
Exactly. She has looked at, what we had in the rough draft that was
Yeah.
done in May, and looked at it and didn't have any major concerns, but I think it'd be appropriate we give her an opportunity for input.
Good. Well, we also have the date ranges in there, for the different steps. And that's definitely something I would want to review with her to see
Absolutely.
if they're reasonable to her.
Yep. All right, anything else on that? Roger,
Nope.
questions? All right, item D, update on transfer station upgrades. I don't have any updates on that, other than the work is proceeding there. I think I had mentioned to you a meeting or two back, we have located the electrical for the hookup with the new guard station up there in the middle of the road, and then they're going to be putting in the cable and that for that. So seems proceeding. Chris, have we got any idea back on when we're going to be getting the new stickers in?
No, we got an order confirmation from Wellington Nameplate last week. And they had originally told us it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get them printed and get them to us. So we should have them hopefully next couple of weeks.
Okay.
What color are they?
Yellow.
Yes, good.
The
Because they
brightest
can't see
color
the
we
gray
could-
ones.
The brightest color we could find.
Right. It'd be great if we altered, they shouldn't need a date on them, really, an expiration date. Because it kind of locks you in, but at least the color, so that the guys can actually see the stickers. The other thing is that, when we go to the next one after that, you can use red. The next one after that, you can use a bright blue or whatever, or orange. And that way it's really obvious if they're have the new one or not.
The new ones, the draft I saw do have an expiration date on them. What was it, 2 years out, Chris?
I think we chose 2.
2
We
years,
chose 2 years.
the yellow.
Well, it kind of locks you into, if you want to do anything else, you're locked into those 2 years. Okay.
All right, item E, Ashford Housing Authority. Jessica is here with us from the Housing Authority, and I believe Megan is here to also talk.
Right, this one is just specifically to ARPA.
Okay,
Can you hear, Catherine?
It's a little tough.
Yeah, you might need to
I'll
have a
move
seat
over,
up
yes,
there,
thank you.
please. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
should we ask Megan? I know that's 2 different things, but do we want Megan to come in just because it's kind of related? But we'll go ahead with this.
Well, I
I'm gonna move Megan into my computer.
Okay,
I did drop off, our proposal yesterday. So you should have a copy of that. Originally back in, let's see, June 27th at the meeting. The Housing Development Corporation asked for $75,000. So we amended that request, and that's what this proposal is for. The biggest change was, I think it was the day after I met with you, I got the ERAP award. And so since 2009, they've never extended that award money to all of the tenants who need it. It was specifically whoever was on the program continued to get it. So this year they had extra money. And so everybody in the building is now eligible for ERAP who needs it.
oh, good.
So those group of 10 or 12 tenants that we were using the ARPA money for, they don't need it because now they're on the state
Good.
elderly rental program,
good.
which is really good.
Yeah,
I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting that. So, so since then, since that has changed, and then also I just, like I had said, I know there's a lot of different departments in town who also are trying to get additional ARPA money. So we're requesting $20,700.
instead of 7.
Okay, so I don't have the proposal. You said
Yeah, I
you
was
brought
just gonna
hard
ask
copies?
Chris, did we forward that on to Roger and
Um,
Catherine?
There was a trouble with the scanner, if I
Yeah.
recall.
Oh, see,
So,
okay.
so what is the
I can email it.
$20,000 for?
So, the 20, and I did send a budget. So, I can email this to you. I can email it to Chris so she can forward it to everybody, since I actually just dropped off copies yesterday, not realizing that, not.
Yeah, we were having some technical problems.
So,
So
I
again,
did-
what is in
what I
general?
did was, I explained it, we set up a budget for this fiscal year. The $20,000 would help offset our costs. Our budget expenses are $52,000, $52,603 for this first year. That includes marketing expenses, the fundraising, which is primarily the event that we will do ideally in later 2024. And then, different fees, contractual fees, that is our contract between Ashford Housing Authority and the Development Corporation for staff, rent, and utilities.
I thought we gave you money previously for startup
we-
costs.
Right, you did. You gave us $20,000. So we're asking for $20,000 more. But like I said, I'll email this to you.
Do you have a critical timeline on this or anything, Jessica? or-
It's not as critical as it was.
Okay,
It was
because of
critical because of the rental assistance, and we were trying to get a fundraising event, just, try to raise money, because initially the ARPA money was gonna run out next June.
Yeah,
So now we don't have that tight timeline, but we still wanna, we don't wanna put this on the back burner. We still wanna market the nonprofit. We wanna do what we want, we wanna still raise money for rental assistance and eventually look to expand housing and build new housing.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's all gonna be through this nonprofit.
So the 20,000 that you received before, what has that been applied to?
That we have not touched that, because we really haven't done anything with the nonprofit up to now. I mean, so we finished the 501c3 application. That's off to the IRS. We're waiting to hear back from them. So we're just kind of been in a holding pattern. But now that the criticalness of the rental assistance not being there anymore.
We heard that, yeah.
It's just, it takes a huge burden off of us. But like I said, I'm at the point now where we're just really starting to work on this as much as possible and get it going. And in order to fundraise successfully, we have to market that nonprofit. We have to get our name out there. We have to do branding. We have to get everybody just informed on what we're doing and what our mission is. So That's our goal over the next year. And we're still gonna do a fundraising event.
On the new
And-
program that's been extended to all of your tenants, are you confident that's gonna be permanent, or is that?
That will be
a year-
permanent.
Year, but, oh, it is.
That will be permanent.
Okay,
It's still not open to anybody new.
okay.
So it's strictly to the
Existing.
tenants who live there now. Yes.
Good. Well, that's a big improvement.
But it is a big improvement. And we, as far as I know now, unless they stop, when someone moves out who's on rental assistance, I can transfer that assistance to, if someone moves in new who needs it, or someone who's there and all of a sudden needs rental assistance. So you can transfer that money.
Good.
They may stop doing that again. They didn't, for a while there, we had to
Yeah.
repay back anything we didn't use. So for sure, the tenants who are there now and who are on it will continue to get it.
Good.
So that's
Good.
the only
That's a
for sure
relief.
thing I know, but that is still a huge thing, so.
All right.
Just a reminder, any ARPA funds that are provided to whoever
Mhm.
must be completely expended by the end of 2024.
Is it 24?
That's our understanding.
Okay,
It's not like you can save them for later on. You
right.
have to- they
I
must-
thought it was
must be-
2025.
I'm just
Yeah, no, I knew
clarifying.
there was a debt, yes.
I
knew
think
that.
it's 20, I mean, there's some rumors that the feds, because there are monies left over in many municipalities, may extend that, but right now the rule is the
Yeah,
end of 24.
and we plan on using all of this before the end of 2024.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, we will get this both to, well, you're gonna email it.
I'll
We
email
can,
it to Chris, yeah.
we got our scanner fixed, so we can also scan what you've given us. We'll get this to the board for consideration.
Okay,
What the
yep. process
process is, Jessica, is that the board will be contemplating possible uses of the remaining ARPA funds that we have.
Okay.
Once we identify those, then we will bringing it to a town meeting.
Okay,
And
Very good.
you'd probably be asked to make another presentation,
yep, okay,
in a town meeting. for it.
yes,
So,
okay, thank you.
all right. Stage 2, are you on the agenda? Well, I would ask, unless there's any problem with it, I would ask that we go down to under item 8, new business, item C, receive information regarding the Ashford Housing Authority's request to pursue application for a community development block grant. And that's what Megan's here for.
I think there's a couple of things, yeah.
And did we get a copy of that request?
I didn't actually write a request. It was, again, at the June 27th meeting, I had mentioned that, we want to pursue, a small cities grant for next year.
Yeah.
And we're looking for the town to be the lead applicant.
Just what in general, what was discussed and what Jessica brought up, and I think Dennis was here with her, was utilizing some of the funds that we have in our housing rehab fund.
Yeah.
And I did speak, is Megan? Oh, Megan's there. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
You folks, I assume know Megan. She's our point person with our housing rehab program. Anyway, I spoke to Megan and she did send an email, and I believe we copied the board on it. Because I wanted to get an idea
Yeah.
how much we had in the fund. And also what Megan's recommendation would be, and I know she's had some discussions with Jessica, would be a safe amount for us to consider if we were to appropriate money from that fund to the housing authority for their grant, what that amount would be. Megan, maybe you can give us an overview of what we talked about and balances in that.
Yeah, so based on my reconciliation yesterday, and I just want to confirm with Laura when she gets back, I think she's on vacation, that our balances match. We have a little over $138,000 in the account right now. And the current program income reuse plan allocates $25,000 every year for the food program. So that 25,000 is already spoken for this July 1 to June 30th period. Um, I would recommend that at least 35,000 stay in the account in case a housing rehab application comes through, because that is the purpose of those funds. So that leaves approximately $78,000 that could be allocated to the housing authority to help them cover pre-development costs, which would then lead to a full small cities application in 2024. We did receive a request this past week for a payoff of a previous loan, which potentially is going to put another 29,000 into the account, which could stay there again for the next round of food program. So that'll bring it out another year. Or if a housing rehab application again comes through and we've already expended the 35, we still have that cushion there. So that would be my recommendation. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Megan, I understand about leaving the 35 there because as we discussed, that's basically an average of what a typical claim would be or project cost would be.
Mhm.
Is there a reason why we would anticipate just one in the upcoming year? Or, I mean, are there years when you have 2 or 3 requests?
We just completed a project. The project that we completed prior to that was in 2019. Prior to that, we had one in 2017. So
Okay,
it's not an active program.
okay. So you're comfortable that planning for the potential of one will at least cover us for a period of time?
Yes. And, we get paybacks at least once a year. It is an average. We get a loan paid back. So I'm pretty confident that there will always be a good cushion there to cover a project should it come through.
What's the time? I know the folks were in here yesterday about this particular payback, the 29,000. What's the normal timeline? How long from the time they initiate that does it end up into the account?
It's a quick turnaround. We usually get a request from either a homeowner or a lender saying, "Hey, we're closing tomorrow. I need a letter today," kind of thing.
Of
They
course.
don't give us much time. So it's a quick turnaround. So if this payment comes through, say in the next week, then there's the money right there.
Okay, all right. So it is a relatively quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Good, good. Jessica, any thoughts on that or?
Well, what we would do with the pre-development costs, I mean, that would help cover architect fees, development consultant, capital needs assessment, all of those things that need to be done first before we, as we continue through the application. So, I mean, it would be a huge benefit to us. We have no pre-development money that available that we can use ourselves. I can apply for pre-development funds, and I am still going to apply for pre-development funds from Department of Housing. But they highly encourage us to, everybody's wants pre-development funds, anybody who's applying for grants. So if we can have some of that covered, that would probably help us out as well.
And Megan, if I refer to our conversation we had yesterday, if I heard you right, before the housing authority could apply for the community development grant, you'd have to have architectural and engineering done in order to do that. Is that correct? I mean,
Before
they
she,
would have to.
before she applies for
Yes.
development.
Yeah.
Typically, yes.
It's like,
I mean, we
Which
use
is-
the term when we're looking at like steep grants or that shovel ready. Is that would, it's
Pretty
probably
much.
too general a term, but
that's pretty much how it is.
that would
now.
make that
Yes.
project shovel ready that you could go ahead.
Yeah, they want to, the Department of Housing wants to be completely confident that the project is going to be successful, that
Okay.
you're going to, so that it pretty much needs to be ready to go. And
Yeah, if the town decided to apply for a 2024 Small Cities Grant for the Housing Authority,
Yeah,
when we submit the application, it has to have 90% completed specs and drawings.
90%. Okay. All right, well, that makes sense. Do you think you would need for architecture and engineering, the entire, what did we say, 78 or
78,000.
78,000? Or is there a way of gauging that, or?
That's typically, architects now are costing between about $60,000 and $80,000,
Okay,
depending on the size of the project.
and I know it's premature, but what are we talking about in dollar amount? I think we talked $5 million
I
project,
mean, between 5 and 6, yeah,
5 and 6.
yes, yeah.
So Megan, that's typical for a project that size?
Yes.
Okay. And just.
And when, and we
Sure.
talk about a project that size, where would the money come from?
So right now, Department of Housing and CHAFA are trying to combine forces. And as you can imagine, it's a big mess. DOH for small cities, you can apply up to $2 million. And then Jessica can also apply for SSHP money through CHAFA, which is an additional $4 million. And that does not get filtered through the town. That's all through the Housing Authority. Only small cities, the town is the applicant.
Okay,
So there's
so,
two applications
you-
going on at once.
so are you asking, well, one, you had asked that the town be the lead applicant, and I'm trying to remember why that was. It was that, you don't have the authority on your end at this point, so you need the town to be the applicant?
Small cities,
I'm not phrasing it very well.
yeah, only municipalities can apply.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so that makes sense. And then you're asking for the 78,000 to use 78,000 from the fund. But is it a fund you control?
The
I
program.
know that sounds like an ignorant question because I am ignorant of the facts on this one.
So the program income money is
Yes.
money that has been recaptured from previous, yep, which is small cities.
Right?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm not sure what you're
So-
asking.
so it's in the bucket with our other small cities money.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. That was what I was
And-
trying to find out.
So-
Just to give you some more information quickly, it just popped in my head. Department of Housing is cracking down on towns that have excessive program income money that's just sitting in the account, and they're starting to take it back.
Ooh,
Give
That's
to
what-
other towns.
That's our part of our conversation we had yesterday. That was the thing that's worried me the most.
Yeah,
It got my attention.
Yes.
and honestly, even if you didn't allocate it to the pre-development now, when you go to put in a full application, they're going to say, oh, you're allocating that money to this project. There's going to be no question about it. They're just going to make you do it no matter what. So if there's a plan set saying we're putting X number of dollars to the food program, X number of dollars is staying with housing rehab, and then this is going to be our contribution, which is leveraging, which is of
Yeah,
course more
yeah.
points on the application.
Yep.
So in the end, they're going to make you spend it on the project anyway.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but Jessica, Megan, you jump in. Are there timelines that we have to meet on this as a board to determine the appropriation? I mean, are you guys under the gun on a particular, is there a set timeline you have to get this in by?
So,
The
oh, go
small
ahead, Jessica.
cities is due in May. next
Excuse me?
May. The small cities is due May
Okay.
24.
I couldn't hear that.
This-
Small cities grant is due May of 2024.
You said it's through May of
Do.
2024?
Do.
Do. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Megan, you had a comment?
So the program income, if you decide to allocate the funds, that takes about a month process because we have to do a public notice and then submit an application. It's a very small, just asking to allocate the funds to this project for this purpose.
Okay.
DOH is very slow in getting a response, so it could take them a month to 6 weeks to say, yes, go ahead. Once that happens, then Jessica can procure for an architect, go through those steps, which is about another 4 to 6 weeks. And then once she signs contract, she can get her specs and drawings started. She can start getting her environmental testing done. So this is actually a really good time to start this,
Yeah.
because typically some towns and housing authorities, they wait until say January or February to start
Mhm.
procuring, and then we're under the gun and it's like last minute getting specs and drawings, and it just, it doesn't make for a very competitive application.
Bill, the allocation of this money, if we were to allocate the 78,000, what else does that affect? It's sitting in our bucket, right?
It's in our housing rehab fund. And
Okay, so it's a specific fund.
it's a
Okay, thank
specific
you.
designated fund. My understanding, and I've had conversation and looked into this. I've had brief conversation with Laura, who actually deferred to Megan, and it's why I got in touch with Megan.
Mhm.
I don't see where it has any effect on any of our other funds or projects or anything along this line.
Mhm. Was there also a question about who would be, for some reason, I thought that there was a question about whether Jessica could be the person, I don't know, overseeing this. I think today, is it Megan?
Mhm.
Or that kind of thing. Is that true? Is there I thought that was brought up the first time you talked with us. Is that correct?
There was a question on, 'cause since the town is
One
the
sec.
lead applicant, someone needs to go through the required training for.
That's right.
all city.
Working on that.
And, I am gonna do the training department. Well, actually, Chaffa said I should.
Something went wrong.
recommend it.
Please try again.
But I still think, I guess, and this is maybe for Megan, I'm not sure if the town also needs to have somebody, just because the money, that all of that money is gonna go through the town. So I'm pretty sure Laura would need to do it.
If I recall, it was 2 days of training.
It's
Actually
more than that.
Yeah, it's more than that. There's 2 sessions, and the first session is like 4 days, and the second session is, maybe that's only 2 days.
2
But
or 3.
it's pretty extensive.
Can one or both of you just verify that, I mean, Megan, you are acting as the town's agent right now, correct?
Yes, so I, as the consultant, have to be certified, which I am.
Okay,
Somebody from the town must attend the workshop.
okay,
Yep.
There is a test, there's 2 tests after each. The first week is basically all grant administration, from the very beginning of getting your application in down to the very end of closing out your project and your grant. The
Mhm.
second week is all about environmentals. So there's a test for each one.
Mhm.
And somebody from the municipality has to be certified.
And you said it was quite expensive. How expensive? The
No,
training?
it's free. It's extensive.
Oh, extensive. Thank you.
Yep.
There's something lost in
You
translation.
know, Megan, if is one of the things and it comes back to me now, and I didn't check with her. Our treasurer is also represent full-time with the town of Sterling. And I'm not so sure she isn't already the designated person for Sterling. Can one person do training and that count for both towns? Do you know?
I believe so, because the certificate follows the person. It doesn't follow the town.
Okay,
That's nice.
So for instance, recently in another town, the person in the finance office who took the training,
yeah,
she left. So the person that took her place had to do the training again.
so it is the person and not the municipality.
Right.
That's
Role.
interesting. I will.
Well, it
check
makes
with
it makes
Sherry.
sense because the person is the one who is the knowledgeable one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, good.
So
From perspective of where this all gets us to. From your perspective, Megan, you need a motion. And I'm not necessarily going to say we're doing it today, but we can certainly, the board can discuss it. You would need a motion from our board to approve an appropriation not to exceed 78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund designated to the Ashford Housing Authority for a future application to small cities. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then there's certain order of steps that we have to take. So you would make the motion to allocate the funds, but before there's an actual like resolution signed, which would go with the plan,
Yeah,
we have to publish a 2-week, well, it's published one day, but it has to be open for 2 weeks for people to comment if they object to it, if they support it. I have many towns we've done this and we've never received any comments from anybody. I think it's because nobody reads the newspaper anymore.
no, I'm
Um,
not familiar
Is
with
that
that
something, Bill, that we would put in the Ashford Citizen, make sure it's timed that way?
We could do it. I would assume our motion would trigger Megan starting that process of notice. Is that
Right.
correct, Megan?
Yeah, and it
Right.
has to go in a newspaper of daily publication,
Daily?
Well,
daily.
oh,
All right.
so
Yeah,
that has to be paid for as well. Is it an extensive write-up that goes in or what?
No, not at all. And typically we do Hartford current zoned for all of these because it's the least expensive way to go, even though it may not be a paper that really serves the area, but it's up to the town which newspaper they'd want to use.
I would think that it would be appropriate to use a newspaper that is most used by the town
Mm-hmm.
because of the people who would make the objection. And well, you said have you ever gotten an objection? Have you been
Never.
aware of one?
Nope.
Never?
Nope.
They probably don't know what it is. So that's one thing. The other thing is, are you also asking for a motion to grant authority to anyone? Anything like that?
So I am the consultant for the program income funds.
Right.
So I oversee all the paperwork and everything else that has to do with it. We did allocate funds, Jessica, I don't remember if it was 2 years ago.
Yes, yeah. For the
Or,
one
yeah,
Yep.
where
yep, mhm.
there were several repairs made at the housing authority.
Yeah.
And Jessica and I did all the requirements for that. And the town just signed off on things.
So
right.
a motion.
Do we have do you ever have a backup?
Yeah, I have Peter in our office he ran the company and he's semi-retired, but he's still there and he's still certified and everything else, so that if I'm away or if anything happens, he's there to jump in and get back into it.
So if a person takes the training, that's how they get certified. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So if we had somebody else who was certified, we could have somebody as a another backup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a lot to it. A lot
It
of
sounds
behind
like
the
it.
scenes, once you get into just the environmental piece alone is huge. There's a huge environmental review that I have to do. Once you get into construction, there's certified payrolls that have to be checked. It's just, there's a lot of behind the scenes that has to happen.
I see.
So to trigger this, you're comfortable that if there's a motion made by the Board of Selectmen to authorize you to start the process,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need at this point, and then perhaps once, if and when that happens, then you can give us an outline stage by stage and make sure
Yes.
these other things fall in.
And that motion, Bill, is the allocation of 78,000 from the housing
Rehab fund.
rehab fund. Is that correct?
That's
That is the actual
Is that the
trigger.
right term, Megan?
Yes.
Okay. So would the motion be to allocate 78,000 from the housing rehab fund to the Ashford Housing Authority? would it be called Ashford Housing
I
Authority?
think the
Well,
motion would be to authorize our consultant, Megan. Name of your company, I'm sorry, Community
Community consulting.
Consulting.
thank you.
To begin the process to transfer $78,000 to the Ashford Housing Authority for the beginning of the process of their community development grant request.
So that's an interesting motion because it's saying to begin the process of transfer without us having approved the fact that we would be allowing them to transfer. Is that correct? We don't
Well,
usually do that.
I-
We
I-
don't usually do it that
The
way.
only, and I'm not locked into the language, I'm just trying to get somewhere with.
No, I feel the same way. I just wanted to
Uh,
make sure that we're clear in what
Yeah,
we're doing.
because what I'm hearing is there's multi-stages that would have to be done. Publication of notice and that sort of stuff, so I don't think the physical transfer of the funds will happen until Megan goes through her process.
Yeah, I think the motion would be
Approve the transfer.
for community consulting to begin the program income reuse application in order to allocate $78,000 to the housing authority for the purpose of pre-development costs related to the 2024 small cities application.
You got that, Chris? Wherever you are.
She's got it.
Roger, you've been quiet over there. Any questions?
No, I'm just drinking all this in.
I'm definitely in favor of starting the process. I just want to make sure we get the wording right on
Yeah.
doing this, and I've heard it kind of in pieces. I haven't heard a single statement. So please repeat the statement. I somehow missed, which is, to me, it sounds like it's the Board of Selectmen
Authorizes,
to approve the,
Pre-development or,
no, there's more, yeah, there's more to it, but we have to say, community connections in there.
Hmm.
So, and we're granting them access, I guess.
authority to begin the process for the transfer of $78,000 from the housing rehab fund for the purpose of
Yada, yada. You got yeah. So okay, just let me ask a question on this then. So to begin we're saying begin the process of the transfer.
And I'm not locked into that. The only thing, when I hear that you have to publish a legal notice.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
the transfer doesn't happen until we've checked off all of the blocks of the things that
Right,
we
but
do.
what we're saying is that the selectmen are approving the use of those funds for that.
Correct.
That's kind of within our power is to say, we approve that, but then others have to get involved in terms of the rest of the approvals, so to speak. And
Megan has to do her thing.
So you're basically today authorizing me to start the program income reuse application.
I like that.
I like that. That sounds
I like that.
reuse application. And then we would mention the 78,000.
To allocate 78,000 of program income funds.
Okay, so I would think that would be that the Board of Selectmen would approve the allocation of the 78,000 from the funds to I believe to the housing authority, to the housing authority, and
Community
authorize
consulting.
community connections to begin the process of whatever.
Yep.
For the purpose of. So somebody needs to help lay that out so that we can make the motion. I would like to make the motion. Bill, did you think that we needed to wait on this for any reason?
Not really. I'm,
How about
I mean,
you?
my hesitancies and Megan, you know, was able to answer most of the questions that I had yesterday.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were, one of the things you stated earlier, Catherine, does this impact or have a negative impact on potential other
Yes.
folks that may be putting in claims or projects or whatever, and I'm satisfied it does not.
Very good.
And
I'm glad
what
that you did
worries
that
me the
research.
most is that if we have this amount in there at any time, housing could take it away from us, which we obviously have worked hard to build that up, and I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah,
Now, again, I understand that basically we have 30, well, we'd be keeping 35K in the fund. And then again, we would be receiving another 25K
29.
or 29K in repayments, so.
We'll keep the 35 in case there's a project that comes forward we're not aware of right
Yeah.
now. 25 that is in there for
No, they will be coming back,
Food program.
the food program.
okay,
And then
Okay.
we're anticipating the payoff coming up.
Yep.
Which is in process right now of an additional 29.
okay.
and bear with me, I'm trying to write something out here. Unless somebody else is.
No. All yours, Catherine, on this one.
Oh, I'm gonna muff it, but let me try. Of dead air. Okay, I'm gonna take a stab and Megan, please tell me if I get this wrong, anything wrong. Board of Selectmen approved the allocation of 78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund to the Ashford Housing Authority. Is it a fund? For future application by Community Connections to yada yada. Can you help me improve that? I just want to make sure that we've laid it out. It's kind of a complicated thing here.
Has to be authorizing you. That has to go in there something.
Because what
Yeah.
we're doing is we're saying, and actually, and I should say, and authorize Community Connections. Or do we have to say a particular person?
It's actually community consulting.
Consulting, I'm sorry.
No, that you can just do the company name. That's fine.
Community for future applications by Community Consulting for the purpose of, and you had named a number of things.
A purpose of you already said allocate $78,000.
I said approve the allocation of 78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund. And actually, is it allocation or we're saying we approve the use of the money. We are not transferring it to the housing authority. You have to go through the process of doing that. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I don't think transfer is a good word to use.
That's
because-
why I didn't use it. We approved the allocation of $78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund for future application by Community Consulting for the purpose of
of repurposing the program income funds.
or repurposing. Is it replenishing or repurposing?
repurposing.
And the name of the,
The program income funds.
there's nothing that goes before the word program, like a name of the program.
No, that's what it's called, program income.
Very good.
Mhm.
Program income for the purpose of, oh, I'm sorry, for repurposing the program income fund. Do we say anything else? So I'm going to read it again. The Board of Selectmen approves the allocation of 78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund for future application by community consulting for repurposing of the program income fund.
Yes. Yep.
No one else will understand that. Okay.
And then later, there's going
Yes.
to be down the road, once I have the application set, there's going
Yeah.
to be a resolution that has all the more detail, like this is what we're using the money for, this is the dollar amount. And that, so this is for the purpose of just getting the application started, that will satisfy.
For the repurposing of the program income fund to start the process. And what is the process again? Quick words, just a couple.
The reuse plan and application.
In our agenda, we
And
reference the
application.
Ashford Housing's authority to request to pursue application for a community development block grant.
Oh. Good point, Bill. All right, so then the that's better. At least that explains it. Now, so let me ask Megan, those words that he has there in terms of the approval of a community, a block
Mhm.
grant, is that appropriate language for what you're talking about?
So you can add where you just left off on the motion, you could add,
Yes, to start
for
the application process.
for the
for
reuse,
commu-
for the reuse plan. And that's where we left off, right? For the reuse
Plan, yes,
plan and application
and application
for
for,
the purposes of applying for a 2024
Community development block grant.
grant.
for the purpose of, this is getting long, too long, but go on. For the purpose of what again?
Applying for a 2024 community development block grant.
Bill, you're gonna owe me another bottle of tequila for writing this out.
I'm in trouble.
All right, I'm gonna give it a shot. Motion to approve the allocation of 78,000 from the Housing Rehab Fund for future application for repurposing the program income fund to start the reuse plan and application for the purpose of applying for a 2024 community development block grant. Again, that does not make sense. We're repeating ourselves in this. Approve the allocation of 78K from the Housing Rehab Fund for future application by community consulting for the repurposing of the program income fund to initiate the reuse plan and application for the purpose of applying for a 2024 community development block grant. That's it. I'm done. That's my motion.
Do it.
So moved.
There's a second.
I need a second.
There's a second. And you know what we can do, Megan, when we get this written out, we'll have our minutes prepared and everything. If we have to modify that to meet any requirement, the minutes will be approved at our next meeting, which is next week, so we can do that.
Okay,
Alright.
that's fine.
Any more
So do we-
discussion on the motion on the floor? And I'm not gonna ask Catherine to reread it.
I'm gonna say, God, no, no more discussion.
Well, I computed.
All right, all in favor of the motion on the floor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, folks.
I'd like to thank Jessica and Megan for their work on this. This
Absolutely.
is very good.
And we're not through with them yet.
Oh,
Item B,
Okay,
act on a request from community consultant for subordination of a housing rehab lien, 2012 -205.
and what does that mean?
I'm gonna let Megan mean it. We cannot use names. I understand it's a confidentiality issue on a particular case.
Okay,
But Megan, why don't you give us an overview of this?
So this homeowner is applying for a home equity loan of $25,000. And currently the lien with the rehab program is in first place. So the bank is asking for a subordination agreement in order for her to get this home equity loan, which then puts them in first place, and then housing rehab lien is in second place.
so that the subordination agreement, is that something that has a boilerplate template for it?
We require that the lender provide the agreement. We don't have the towns draw up those agreements because it would have to go through town attorneys and everything else. It basically says that the town is authorizing the bank to be in first place and we're getting bumped down to second place.
Megan, have we done this in the past? I remember there were a couple of cases back a while back where they got a bit controversial. In fact, I think we denied one. But has a precedent been set that where we've done this in the past?
Yeah, they're typically always approved. I don't know if it was in Ashford, but we had a couple that were denied because people were just basically taking out excessive amounts of cash for no purpose. So the towns were saying, well, you got to pay us back before you go buy that new boat type of thing. But she's doing a straight home equity loan to make some additional repairs to her home.
then this is, what's the loan amount?
25,000.
5,000.
Bill, what item is this on the agenda? Is it 8B?
It is 8B.
Okay, so we did the other one first. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the one that was controversial, and we're going back several years ago, probably was the person included in the new finance wanted to buy a new car,
Yes.
and we weren't comfortable with that.
Yep.
And I think we denied it at the time.
Yep.
But
She has more than enough equity in her house. So even with this new loan, she's not even, I think she's only at 70%. She's in good standing with her current mortgage. So
so you, on behalf of community consulting, are recommending that we approve this?
yes.
Any more?
All right, so I was gonna say, would the motion be to
To authorize the subordination of a housing rehabilitation loan lien, 2012-05. Do we need to state the amount, Megan?
No.
Okay,
all right, that's the motion.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
we have a
second it.
motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
Okay, well, you guys beat us into submission on this one.
Is there anything else we got to talk about?
No, no.
We've got everything? All right, ladies, thank you very
Thank
much.
you
We
very
appreciate
much.
your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a good day.
You too.
That only hurt a little bit.
Yeah, no, we'll get through it. All right, All right,
So
I'm
our
gonna
next-
go back to old business under 7. Discuss and or act on ASME contract. I had sent you a draft last week.
Mhm.
Um, Are there any corrections or additions or comments on what I had sent? I think it was representative of our meeting prior to that.
Yeah,
Um,
nothing stood out at me. How about you?
Catherine?
No, I don't think, I just glanced at it, but I don't think anything stood out.
Would you be comfortable if I try to set up a meeting? Karen is back from vacation, but last I knew, she had not heard from the state rep. What's her name, Joan or whatever? I'd like to set up a meeting for one day next week. I was thinking perhaps Wednesday morning.
Right.
That
Uh,
works.
And we'll just gather.
Let me, and we'll meet before then, just to go, reiterate and go
Yeah,
over things,
double
but.
check.
That would be good.
And again, we do not have to post it as a special meeting or anything because it's union negotiations.
Correct.
I will shoot, is 10 o'clock convenient for you folks? You want to do
Works.
it earlier?
When is this?
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Okay, let me just double. My phone's down in my car.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't, we'll shoot for that. If that turns out to be a problem or there's a conflict, let me know. Because I don't know if that's going to be convenient for the union either, but we'll shoot for that next Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All right, going under new business, item A, and I believe we have a couple of people here to discuss this with us. This was the consideration request from Ace Equipment Sales to access their 38-acre parcel of land. Now, you and Catherine walked that Saturday or went
Well,
there?
we didn't walk the lot. The lot is inland, but we.
Yes,
did,
we went down.
access and,
Okay. John Patton had called me yesterday and I told him our board had not made a decision on it yet. I did explain that Catherine and Roger take do a site visit just to visit and familiarize themselves.
Yeah, we'd like to know exactly where their property is that they're
Yeah,
taking the lumber from.
I looked,
Did you?
well, I got in here early. I kind of looked through and looked at the maps and identified.
Yeah.
And so basically the road that we were talking about across the culvert,
Yep.
they're not gonna, I don't believe they're accessing the cornfield. They're going up the hill, up the old trail there, the old road.
Okay, so bear with me while I
All right.
envision
Can I
what you're
just-
talking about.
Well,
The place where we have a
let's let
bridge,
them-
are you,
But
wait,
I'm sorry, Catherine.
where we already have a bridge, correct?
Yes.
You called it a culvert, so I wasn't sure
Well,
because we got
it's
culverts
not-
on both sides.
It's a
with it.
stretch calling it a bridge, but.
Yeah, it's more culvert than.
Let me call, we've got a gentleman that's off in a conference room. Let me
Okay.
call him and I believe Casey has come in
All right,
to add their 2 cents, maybe answer some questions we may have. Give me 1 second.
And just a quick question. These aren't the same people that were had a firing range there, are they?
no, this is a,
Okay, that just popped into my head.
Yep.
And have they done this before?
well, I think, yeah.
92.
Any particular seat?
Have a seat there. We can hear you better.
Oh,
How you doing?
okay.
Welcome. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting. If you would just identify yourself.
Yeah, Carl Riendo and Sons Logging.
Okay, Carl.
I own
And-
the company.
And Casey McHugh has joined us.
And I'm Catherine Silversmith.
Catherine.
One of the selectmen.
You're the owner, you're not, obviously you're the logger, not
Yes.
the owner of the property. Okay.
Oh, okay. So who's the owner is Ace?
Ace Equipment Sales, I think, which is also Becker Construction,
John Patton.
John Patton.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I could not hear the name of the person who's representing them today.
It's John Patton.
Is the owner.
That's the name of the owner, your name.
Carl. Carl
Carl Riendo,
Randolph, thank you.
Riendo.
REAN,
RIENDEAU.
RIEN.
REIDN.
Carl, why don't you give us an overview of what's being proposed to us here, and then we'll compare notes.
What I am looking here is, John wants to do some logging on the property that's up there. And what we need is access to the property. We would like to use the abandoned town road that off of Cozy.
Yeah, Carosi.
Rosie Road. Access that about, it's gonna be, I think, 1,100, almost 1,200 feet long. From the abandoned road in, and then another 490 something feet to the property that we're gonna be logging. And we wanna access that down the road, and I think we're gonna, what I think the best thing to do would be to access it before the culvert.
Before the what? Before the culvert? When
yes,
you turn your head towards the other area, I can't hear you. So just to let you know,
Alright,
that's
alright.
it. Great.
Yeah, access it before the culvert, because I think we can get our trucks across the culvert. It's whoever built the culvert there, I think the town did, they did a really good job. And it's very, very well made. And the access that we could use it on the other side of it, and then stage there, load our trucks there and leave from there. So basically what we're looking for is to getting access up into the property to do our logging on that.
So where would you be setting up your landing? Would that be down by the trail path up to the cornfield?
Yes,
Or,
yes,
okay,
yeah, right where the access is up to the cornfield.
and that's where you would stage for the logging, so the
Yeah.
trucks would only be going to that
To
point,
that point, that's
and the
it.
skidders would
Skidders,
be-
a forward. We have forwarders. We carry our wood, we don't drag our wood.
Okay,
So dragging it causes a lot more erosion, creates more ruts, more impact. So what we like to do is we take our logs, we pick them up, we put them in the back, and we carry our stuff out.
Could I get one, please?
It's
What's
a
the
lot
size of your
longer.
trucks?
Wait a second.
What's that?
Troy's office.
Size of your trucks?
I mean, how big are these? Are they
The triaxles,
triaxles?
Yeah.
Nice.
triaxle log trucks.
So the road you're going in is essentially, and where you get to, you know, that area is essentially a one-lane road through a very quiet neighborhood.
Correct.
How many trucks do you figure would be traversing the road a day?
I would say no more than 2
Two, what, per day?
per day, correct.
How many days?
We're hoping to be in and out of there. It's give or take weather.
I
Actually,
get
working time, no more than 30 days. But
So,
it's give or take
you're
weather,
saying-
I'm gonna tell you 2 months.
Yeah,
So we're talking about 30 days of 2 trucks per day going through that little neighborhood,
Right,
right?
correct.
Why did you choose this route? Is there, and
It's
have you
clo-
logged up there before?
It's the closest and easiest route to get to that particular property. There is another way in off of,
from Wellington off. of
yeah, from Wellington,
Bussy Road. yeah.
Bussy, off of Bussy Road coming in,
But that's.
Yeah.
in.
but that's abandoned too. And it's a lot wetter. I mean, really, really wet through there. Which it's part of Wellington, so I'd have to go through the Wellington part of it. And then the Ashford part of it, and both pieces are very wet,
Yeah, either way, you'd have to access the Cadle Rock property.
correct? Either or.
So you're thinking.
Have you lo-
30
have you
days,
logged
weather-
up-
Weather permitting. 2 trucks a day,
Yep,
For 30 days?
triaxles for 30 days.
No,
that's what we're figuring. That's, like I said, that's best case scenario. That's the time that we're working.
Not much you can do about the weather.
Mother Nature with the weather. Or
So it could be 60 days or more, depending on the weather, right?
Correct. Right. I mean, if we get torrential rains like we've been getting, it's gonna be longer, but hopefully we don't get these torrential rains while we're in there. I mean, I don't wanna be in, I wanna be in there when it's dry or frozen, one or the other.
You're doing limited logging, as I understand in there. It's not strip logging, right?
John's particular piece is 12 inches and up. He is cutting a little bit on the harder side. He is, I think what they're gonna plan on doing is either donate it to the Salvation Army. I'm not 100% sure.
This is the 38 acres.
Yes,
Mhm.
is what he's looking at possibly doing, is donating it to them
Okay, once it's
once it's cut.
cut.
Now, you mentioned having to cut a 490-foot road in off of the existing road.
Existing road, which
How many trees would that involve on the Cato Rock property approximately?
not very many.
Okay.
Because it's not gonna be a perfect straight line.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, we can go in between the trees
Okay,
to get up in there.
Okay.
You might be a dozen.
Right.
That might be cut, and we're not gonna cut anything that's mature enough for a lawn.
okay.
We can get around the stuff pretty easily in there.
I've also talked with Joe Kalinowski at length about this. I thought he was gonna join us today, but he couldn't do that. And he's very familiar with this gentleman and his operation and past experience in town, and very satisfied that you do what you say you're gonna do and do a good cleanup as compared to, we won't get into some of your compatriots that are also doing the same sort of work.
My name and my reputation, and I do also live in town.
Absolutely, and
So,
and Joe
I don't-
emphasized that.
Right, I don't wanna do it to anybody,
Where do you live?
right on Sapino Road.
Okay.
Casey, you have any thoughts?
Casey, yeah,
Yeah, I talked with Joe quite a bit about it, and that road, Carosi Road, is our main concern. Once we get off onto the, abandoned road and town property,
right.
really don't see any harm in there, but our concern is the paved section. So that road, it's good timing to do it now because that road's due to be resurfaced, chip sealed within 1 or 2 years. If this happened to get into a legal battle and then we resurface the road and then we log, we'll be pissed.
Mm.
That's what we're looking at.
I'm sorry, it was a legal battle. If there was a legal
Yeah.
battle about what?
If we had just resurfaced that road and now they were gonna use it for trucking, but we're looking at
That'd be the worst time.
that.
That was our concern, not that we think it would become a legal battle, but there are laws that you can't block property. So, whether it's Wellington side or our side, we might, that was what Joe and I talked about.
Yeah. The general times of day, I know this is probably a more detailed question than you care about, but times of day you think those trucks would be actually going through there?
1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
Casey, does anybody know if there are any kids on that road? It's such a quiet
I
area.
There are on the corner of Giant Oak, there's some kids, maybe 10, 11, somewhere in there, years old. And the Carosis don't have any kids.
Right.
They will probably be upset. I'm sure they don't want the log trucks. I'll just be honest about that.
Right.
But it is a town road. They have a right.
All right. So I can tell you my biggest concern.
Would you be supplying an insurance certificate?
Yes, I will.
On that sort of stuff?
Yep.
And any damage that would be caused as a result of your truck, I mean, God forbid one got stuck or whatever, you would take care of that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Give you the certificate of insurance, that's not a problem at all. And, fixing that road, because the road needs a little work to it.
Yeah.
In order to get up to where we have to go. That's on my cost of doing that. So it's, well, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Bill, I would think
I'm
that,
sorry I interrupted you. Go
okay,
ahead.
so I just want to clarify for all of you, my biggest concern, I know it would be an annoyance to the neighbors, the people that live there, and they will be quite upset. There are some that are more vocal than others, some that have lived there a long time, but my biggest concern is safety. If there are any kids around there or anything like that, there's a reasonably sharp turn there, you're going to be going around there. So that's my biggest concern, is just safety in such a quiet neighborhood.
The logging trucks are yours, that's,
I can talk to my truck drivers. You know, the ones that are gonna be trucking it are mine, so I can talk to them, make sure that they keep it to a certain speed limit on that road. You know, that's the safest and smartest way to do it.
Yeah. And and I would expect there'd be some kind of a written agreement that we would draw up that also refers to the insurance, et cetera, right, Bill?
Well, we'll get a certificate of insurance naming the town as a co-insured. That I'm sure is a standard form.
Standard form, correct.
We can
And
get,
also for the period, you know, what the period of time is, and I would say that would be, you talked about, you think it's about 30 days of solid work, 8-hour days, I assume, something like that. That we would also have in it not to exceed a duration of 60 days.
That would be tough, because what happens if we get bad weather?
Well, I'm assuming that when you're talking about 30 days worth of work, first of all, is it Monday through Friday? What are
Yes,
the
it
days
is.
of
Monday through
work?
Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Yep.
You
know, I can't, to tell you, limit it to 60 days is very, very tough, because if I get a week's worth of rain, I can't work there for a week and a half. You know what I mean?
Understood. Understood.
That's the
Okay.
tight part of it. I mean, if you left it a 4 month, I'd say, okay. You know, maximum 4 months, I would say it's okay, but to take that.
say we approve this,
Yep.
when would you be starting?
From the looks of it, let's see, I'm gonna say sometime October, November.
Oh, you wouldn't be starting until then? I thought you were
Yes.
talking about now.
Starting till then. It's not gonna be right off. We're not gonna be starting this job right off. I got, my son's on a job right now. It's got about a month and a half there, and then I gotta go to Stafford to do a job, and then I plan on going there.
I mean, our biggest concern would be, you know, what happens now if the neighbor says, okay, it's okay to, you know, we'd like you to log our property too. And then if
Well,
this kind of expands, that would be a kind of a concern then.
I don't think anyone really.
Okay.
Property.
So, the other thing too is,
This.
all right. So another thing is that, someone would need to talk to, we know of at least someone who's lived there a very long time that will probably not be happy about it, but I recommend that, Bill, that you talk to that person to let them know that this would be coming.
Yeah, Joe tells me he has already spoke to the person we're talking about.
I know, but I'd make sure
Probably
someone
one
from
of
the
the most
selectman's
vocal
office did, not someone, yeah, who's now a consultant for
I
the
can
company.
certainly follow up with him.
That would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be again
How
starting in
far into the
October.
winter
Did
would
you say
go?
October?
I mean, if you started October or November 1, how far would weather permit you to go into?
Yeah,
I'm hoping to be done there way before the first of the year.
Okay.
you can go in the winter time.
Winter time's the best time to do the
Yeah.
logging.
Yeah, they're not gonna rip up the
You
ground
know,
as such.
it's be frozen and a lot
I
better.
agree.
You know, with the snow on the ground, the wood comes out easier.
Leaves are off the trees.
Yeah, truthfully, the summertime is one of the worst times to be logging.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
wood's peeling.
So
So
by
if
the
you
end of the
drew-
year,
if you drew something up that said to start on or about the 1st of October through December 31st.
Yeah.
You'd be comfortable with
I'd be
that?
comfortable with that, yes.
all right. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
Okay. A motion to approve access to Cattle Rock by the, and I don't know what the name of that entrance is,
It's the Carosi Road. There's a continuation.
Carosi Road entrance.
Yeah, the abandoned
Carosi Road. Yeah.
Carosi Road. What is
The
that?
abandoned Carosi Road access by, what's the name of your logging company?
Riando and Sons Logging.
Okay, someone else can work on the spelling for that
Mhm, I already got it.
company.
Roger's got-
Bear with me. for, for the period of October 1st through December 31st, 2023, for the purpose of logging on the, and what's the name of the property that you're logging on? Is
It's
it
38-acre parcel of land. G is in George. S is in Sam, map number 38, block A, lot 2.
lot A, lot 2, which is located in Willington, is that correct?
No, it's Ashford.
No, it's Ashford.
Ashford.
It's Ashford.
Yeah, that's in Ashford.
Yeah.
So, but you're logging on a property that's not Ashford, is that correct?
No,
Yes.
we are log,
No, this
You're
was,
accessing our land, but it's not, it's
it's all,
Ashford land.
it's all in Ashford.
Oh, is Ashford land that's owned by somebody else that's not in Kettle Rock?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I make that motion. Did you, Chris, did you catch the motion?
Can you make sense of it?
Yeah, I got it.
You will,
I'll second.
Okay, excellent.
We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Let's just make sure we've got a nice written agreement that's clear
You can
on the
drop-
period of time, the insurance, so that we have liability covered.
Great.
Sounds
I
good.
should have asked, Casey, you were comfortable with all of this, right? As
Yeah.
our director?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you very much.
thank you.
And Bill, you're gonna follow up with the homeowner.
At least one who we know is verbal. And again, probably what I'll do is follow up with him and Joe at the same time, because Joe's already spoken to him.
well, I hope not, I'm.
Right, but
I'm going
Joe's
to-
Joe's not really our agent on this.
No, he isn't. He was around though, and our agent
Just,
I would.
yeah.
when this thing started.
Uh,
I'm gonna call Lynn right now because she's gonna come up on our next item.
Okay,
To get out. Stand there for a
I have never
minute. Yeah, I never had it either.
Hi, Lynn, can you come up?
I'll have to.
Thank you.
I was, if it didn't go away by today, I was gonna go. I thought it was a tooth because I had it really bad.
Mhm.
And I thought it was.
So this is all set,
We are. You're done.
We're waiting for.
Congratulations.
paperwork from you.
alright, so I'll get you the paperwork, saying it's gonna start October 1st. Go as long as till December 31st.
Yep.
And with a
And
certificate
you'll
of
give us a
insurance.
copy of your insurance
Yep.
form.
And again, just Monday through Friday, you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy, thank you. Take care, Carl. You guys need me?
It's always good to see you, but I think we're all set. Thank you for your time.
Good enough.
You sit there. I think everybody can hear you better, Lynn.
hey, Lynn. Hi, Roger.
Hello, greetings. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Staying cool?
Okay, under new business, item D, act on request to call a special town meeting received from the assessor to approve revisions in the Ashford ordinance governing dairy farm and orchard tax abatements. And Lynn has been so kind to join us to give us an overview. I guess this was started by Kara,
Correct.
and I'll give it to you.
Okay, so we've had the dairy farm abatement since 2005, and we originally had a couple dairy farms and of course the orchard. Right now, it's just the orchard owned by horse listeners. But Kara determined in looking at the local ordinance and the application that it's inconsistent, the language. And so she requested, and I agree with two minor changes. One is for the application to be submitted every 5 years rather than every year. And then there's one minor change to the ordinance. hang on a minute, so many papers here. So I emailed the board the documents June 28th. I don't know if everybody has that with them or has it available.
I've read them. I don't. have
Okay.
it here, but
Okay, well, there's a couple paragraphs of language. I don't know if you want me to read it all right now. But the application, it's basically changing the top paragraph to state that it should be, that the applicant should apply once every 5 years rather than every year. And then the ordinance change is one change to section 6. Any abatement will continue in force for 5 years and just add 10 years if a renewal application is filed. So it's just adding the 10 years if a renewal application is filed. And then that will make the two in line with each other.
Compatible.
Yes. Now, the question came up was, we know that to change the local ordinance, you need a town meeting for that.
correct.
But the application, we weren't sure, so I did check with the town attorney, and he did email us back that the application can be approved by the Board of Selectmen. But of course, the local option needs to go to town meeting. My suggestion is, I don't think a town meeting needs to be set just for this. I mean, if the application could be changed, you know, in the near future, then we can deal with horse listeners come October for the application. And then the next time there's a town meeting, if this could be added to the town meeting. Just a
Well,
suggestion.
Are
we
there
do
any
have
issues?
We do have a town meeting that's going to be coming up relatively soon regarding ARPA funds and perhaps a couple of other things, so we can do some house cleaning and
Okay,
include this on it. Town council did see your recommended changes on the application and approved them. And
correct.
which council was it? Who did you talk?
Duncan,
Duncan, okay.
yes. And that was on July 12th. He called me and then he confirmed with an email.
Okay.
So, and there's no concern about having it say one thing on the application and having it say something else in the ordinance for the period of time that we're talking about?
Well, correct, because horse listeners has actually been receiving the exemption for 15 years. We're already
Yeah.
grand list 23 will be year 16. So the change doesn't even affect horse listeners. So that's
Oh.
why I thought that if you had to wait for the town meeting, you could. But since you're going to be having one for ARPA funding.
Yeah, we're gonna be setting one. I'm not, we haven't set a date or anything, but there is one coming up. I have no problem with us approving the application if the board is comfortable with it. And then playing catch up with the, you know, changes in the ordinance at our next town meeting.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right,
I'll
well,
second.
There's a motion on the floor, and this would be to approve the revisions you're recommending in the application.
That'll be submitted every 5 years.
Changing the ordinance to reflect the changes.
And with the understanding that the next town
At the next town
meeting,
meeting.
we'll look at the ordinance, but.
Correct.
And
Any-
actually, the ordinance change wouldn't be on the motion that we're making today. The ordinance change would be
That's it.
what we're
All
putting
those-
together for the town meeting.
It can just be shown in the intent or conversation that we had, that our intent is
Yeah.
to
Yes.
address the recommended changes at a future town meeting.
Okay.
So, any more discussions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion on the floor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. You're welcome.
That didn't hurt too bad, did
No, that was quick.
it? No, thank you.
Thanks.
Any news we need to hear from you about the assessor? How are things going down there? Everything okay?
A lot of the work right now has to do with people coming in with the tax bill questions.
Yeah.
Trying to get caught up on permits, getting them into the system. And I just mailed out all the new owners who have to file for PA 490, Farm Forest and Open Space.
Okay.
So always something
That'll
going
keep
on.
it busy down there.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
were we working on the veterans?
Well, I was here for a meeting in December. And I gave a few options that the board
Right.
could go with. There was one that was new that had to do with only real estate owners.
Yeah,
I don't know if the board has had any more discussion on it since then.
well, wasn't there a couple of things just passed in the last legislature? referencing options that towns had for veterans benefits?
Yes, there was one that was only for real estate, but it was 10% off of the.
Remember that one
assess-
gentleman called us and was,
Yeah, that's the one. It was just real estate,
Okay.
and so it didn't help anybody that was a renter that just had a motor vehicle. I wasn't prepared for this, sorry, but
No.
but a week ago, I got an email from a department at the state of Connecticut, and they've asked every assessor to submit. I had to do a survey, I did it, and they're
Yeah.
asking all 169 assessors to get that done within a short time range. And by the fall, they want to put out a report of what everybody currently has for local options for veterans. We don't have a current
you said
up-to-date
by the
list.
fall?
That's when they think the
That's
report
their
will be
goal.
available, yes.
And today we don't have anything, correct?
For local options, we do not.
And I think that's what we had discussed back in December was what options do we have
Right.
or might be recommended that we can approve, and then there was some pending legislation. I think we said, well, let's wait and see what materializes.
Right, so there was the new one with the real estate, only real estate, veterans that own real estate, and then I had given information on what some towns in the state have, which is a local option based on your income for
Yeah.
additional veterans. And the board can set the amount, well, at a town meeting, what the amount can be, and then what the income limit can be. Because we have state guidelines, income guidelines, but you can increase the income guidelines and you can determine the assessment exemption amount from 1,000, I think, up until 20,000 assessment exemption.
Well, I know we caught you a little cold on this, but perhaps our next Tuesday daytime meeting, if you don't mind, we'll put you on the agenda.
Sure.
Maybe we can review where we are and
Okay,
perhaps set some goals.
perfect. So the next, in a couple weeks on a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesdays, we do the 9 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
You too.
All right.
Woohoo.
Board and commission appointments. I don't see any. Chris, there was a question I saw from Sherry, and I think she answered her own question. We did appoint Steve Gallinet Jr. as an alternate to the rec committee. I think we did that.
Yes, we did it in June, so
Okay.
we're not
Right.
quite sure why it's
Good.
on
She's all set on that.
their July
Okay.
minutes.
Do you have any tax refunds?
No,
Review of cemetery statutes relating to ownership of gravestones. We're still waiting for that famous letter from Kerma. We've sent them 2 written reminders. When we get that, we will share that not only with the board, but also town council, and I know Jim Ravitsky's anxious to see that. Agenda items for upcoming Board of Selectmen meeting.
ARPA funding.
Just talked about just one.
Mhm.
We'll set our next Tuesday
Mhm.
meeting and we'll put the veterans
Yep.
options that we may have and ARPA discussions.
Yeah.
I've got 10:34.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Busy morning. I think we got a lot done though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Have a good day.
You too.